As the city begins to awaken, there are people who start their day with a silent worry, a doubt about their health, an answer they don't yet know. Every lab test begins long before a machine or a reagent. It begins with a decision. The decision of a mother who walks miles to arrive on time. Into their hands she places not only a sample, but her trust. Because behind every tube there is a name, a face, and a story that deserves to be told accurately. Upon arriving at the clinical laboratory, each story begins to take shape. Here, everything begins with precision, the correct identification of the patient, the verification of their information, and the receipt of the doctor's order. Because even the slightest error can change the course of a diagnosis. Then comes one of the most important moments, the sample collection. With technique, care, and responsibility, a small amount of blood is obtained containing invaluable information. It is not just a sample, it is a reflection of the state of health of a person. From that moment, its journey within the laboratory begins. The sample embarks on a silent journey against time. It traverses distance, limitations, and geographical barriers. Because distance cannot be an obstacle to health. Inside the laboratory, the sample is distributed to different areas, according to the requested analyses. In the pre-analytical phase, fundamental processes are performed, such as centrifugation, where its components are carefully separated. Every step is recorded, every detail is controlled. Because traceability and proper handling are essential to guarantee reliable results. Here, in the silence of the laboratory, the other part of the journey begins. The responsibility is absolute. It is here that the biochemist's work becomes invisible, but indispensable, ensuring that the sample is maintained in optimal conditions before its analysis. Then, in the analytical area, science comes to life. Specialized equipment, reagents, and knowledge work together to transform a sample into information, precise. But behind every piece of equipment, there is a professional, a biochemist who not only processes samples, but also interprets, evaluates, and understands each result. Because behind every result, there is a scientist who knows that a diagnosis depends on its accuracy. Each value obtained is rigorously analyzed, backed by quality controls and years of training. Sometimes, the journey encounters obstacles, but integrity is non-negotiable. Here, it's not just about processing, it's about validation, about being certain. Before being delivered, the results undergo a meticulous review process. The biochemist compares, confirms, and guarantees that each data point accurately represents the patient's condition. Because a number can define a treatment, a medical decision, or even change a life. Finally, the result returns to where it all began, to the hands of the person waiting. The sample's journey ends where it began, in the trust of a patient, because behind every test, there's an opportunity to live better. And behind every result, there's a biochemist committed to the truth. The clinical laboratory doesn't just analyze samples, it analyzes stories, guides decisions, and builds trust.